Well, life, I mean, brings the ups and the downs. And while we can celebrate the wonderful things that happen, sometimes the downs, do we stay there? Do we learn? My next guest is going to really help to embrace being better, taking life, having a different attitude, and living life in the abundance that God gave it to us. I am so happy to introduce you to my friend David Welday, wrote the book The Winning Mindset. Hi, David.
Hey, Suzanne, how are you?
I am so good and ready to hear your positive message. Life right now, we are recording in March of 2022. Um, it's busy. It's very busy. We are in the middle of war with across seas, and I know that's troubling.
Mhm.
Personally, there's a lot of things that are going on, finances, price of gas. There's a lot of things that we could grumble about, but your book has so much hope in it. And so much of it is about attitude and how we approach these things. Would you talk to us about that?
Exactly. Well, the truth is, you're right. Life is scary, life is hectic, and probably the biggest issue at all is life is uncertain. We
Mm,
do not know what's around the corner, what's facing us, what might happen tomorrow, and that can unnerve us. And so,
yeah.
you're right. How do we approach life in a way that we live with joy, with confidence, with purpose, with peace? And so, I wrote this book in order to just share some insights with people. Very short, pithy little 2-page segments to give you an opportunity to think about how to think differently. Because, if it were smarts that made people successful, then the smartest people would be at the top. If it were
That's true.
wealth, then the richest people would be at the top. If it were talent, then the most talented people would be at the top. But the truth of the matter is, it's none of those things. It's really how you approach life and how you apply the unique gifts, the unique perspectives, the unique opportunities that you have that can make the difference between a ho hum or a ha ha kind of life.
Some people just seem to be doing better in life than others. Are you saying that the difference is attitude and how they approach things?
Well, certainly circumstances do have an impact on it, but my contention is that all of us get dealt good hands and bad hands in life.
Yeah,
I like to play cards, and sometimes the cards are good, sometimes they're not. But
right.
good card players, regardless of the luck of the draw of the deck, tend to win more often. So, what
Sure.
makes for a winning card player? What makes for a winning lifestyle? And I'm here to say that it is how you approach life, how you think about life, how you respond to the things that come at you that can have a huge difference in the end result. So it isn't just the circumstances, but it's really how you approach them. And so I wanted to write something that would encourage you, would inspire you, would motivate you, give you just that little extra gas in the tank, that little extra something to maybe consider your life, your circumstances in a little bit more positive and helpful way.
Okay, so let's say I got on the scale today. I lost 3 pounds. I got a bonus from my boss, and my husband brought me flowers for no reason. I mean, that's easy to be positive about. But when life goes the other direction, how do you begin to change your attitude and find joy in that and see anything positive to try to, embrace life in its abundance when it's not going so well?
Well, it's that's the secret sauce, and I wish I had the magic wand answer because I'd be a rich man if I did. But I think it begins with being aware of the opportunities and the choices that you can make, and then candidly making the good choice. And sometimes, if it's we get into habits, we get into mindsets. So if you're used to seeing the glass half empty, choosing to see the glass half full is a choice, but it's not what you're used to. So sometimes you
Mm,
have to say, okay, I'm going to make myself aware. I'm going to go on a mission, if you will, to change the channel, because so often
mm,
it's how we think about things that make the difference. I have 3 sons, and I can remember my youngest son. It didn't matter how much my wife and I told him he was amazing, he was gifted, he was talented, whatever. the tape he played in his head, what he told himself about himself, was louder than anything that anyone else could say to
Mm.
him. And I can remember the moments, some pivotal moments when I could see that he changed the channel. He changed the tape. He chose to stop playing the negative tape and started to say something different and believe something different about himself. And candidly, that made a dramatic shift in his life. Well, maybe you don't need a dramatic shift in your life, but maybe there are lots of little moments, little segments, little circumstances of your life. Maybe there's a person in your life that's just drives you batty, but
Mm.
you can make choices about changing the channel, changing the way you think, changing the way you approach that person, that circumstance, that situation. That's why I wrote the book and called it The Winning Mindset, because it isn't about what comes at you. It's about what comes out of you, how you choose to
Mm.
process and handle life. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And David, I know that your faith is an important part of this book. And you just said something that was so profound when you talked about your son. It makes me think of my son who went through a divorce. And I too could see the moment where the tape was no longer louder than what the truth was. And
Mm-hmm.
that was the moment he forgave his wife, his ex-wife. I can remember the day and time that happened. So maybe that decision might be forgiveness or, one of the
Mm-hmm.
many other things. I mean, can you tell us about other situations, really like practical things that could be decisions that we make that really, those watershed moments of what decisions we could make to change that tape, to lower the volume on that tape that we've been playing to be able to hear the truth.
Well, for example, a lot of times the voice that speaks loudest in your head is the one that you listen to. And so there is a conscious choice that you make to change the channel or to
Mm.
listen to a different voice. But and I suspect most of us, I know this is true for me, that where my harshest critic is directed towards me. I beat myself up
Sure.
more than other people do. And so a lot of times the changing of your mindset really has to begin with how you think about, how you speak about, what you believe about yourself. But nevertheless, there are still others that sometimes can get under your skin, get your goat. I had a team member at one point in time that just drove me crazy. It was some people you just flow together, others it's oil and water. And
Yeah.
so in this particular case, it was a situation where we just didn't speak the same, see the same. And I found myself getting critical, getting negative. And so when that happens, I started to see the worst in every circumstance instead of the best in every
Hmm.
circumstance. And so what happens is you have to catch yourself. So when I
Right.
caught myself doing that, I had to make the choice to say, okay, I'm going to speak something different. I'm going to think something different. I'm going to look for reasons to celebrate the good things that I saw in this particular team member. And so when I did that, it's amazing how the circumstances and the attitudes tend to turn around. But it really does begin with the way you think about someone. So that's again why I wrote the book and called it The Winning Mindset, because it really isn't outside coming in, it's inside going out.
And David, where is the book available? How can people get a hold of you also?
Super easy. They can get it from our website, which is ahigherlife.com. They can get it on amazon.com. You can get the world on amazon.com.
Yeah.
They can get it at barnesandnoble.com, really anywhere that books are sold.
David, what prompted you to write the book? Did you have something happen in your life that you're just like, this has got to be, this message has to be shared?
I would love to say that I had this phenomenal life altering decision or circumstance that changed that. But the truth is, I put out for our company, we're a publishing company, and I put out an e newsletter twice a month. And I always just write a little something at the beginning of that e newsletter that's just a motivational, inspirational word of encouragement. And I'm sometimes amazed at some of the inspiration, that sort of ideas that come to me fairly quickly. And so I write these things. And of all the things we do, the promotions, the flyers, the things that we do, I get more people emailing me and commenting about, I just really like the way you said that. So I thought, maybe there's something to this. So I decided to go through and I invited several people to say, what are some of the most helpful, some of the most beneficial things that have been shared? And so I took all of those insights, those thoughts, and had those pulled together and compiled those into what is becoming the winning mindset.
It tells me to have a response like that. People are hungering and they're thirsty for that. They're just absorbing it.
Well, most people want to tell you about them, and I get that. But I try to write from a perspective of um, what's important to you.
Mhm.
Like even in this interview, that's like, I'm not Denzel Washington or Kim Kardashian, so nobody particularly cares about me. But what's important to you? What's
What's going to
important to
connect?
you
Right.
as a
Mhm.
reader, as a listener, as a viewer? And so I want to share something that I think would be beneficial or helpful for you in the same way that I find value when somebody says something is about me. Because the truth
Mm.
of the matter is, we all want to see ourselves in the story. Successful stories is where the reader can find themselves
Mm.
when you're telling your story. And so I take that approach to life. It's like, how can you find yourself in whatever story I might be sharing with you?
I love that. It's the ultimate relationship
Mm-hmm.
when it's a back and forth. It's not just one way.
Yep.
And I guess, as we're kind of wrapping up here, what do you hope after the person reads your book? What do you hope that they do or they say or they feel? What's the call to action that you're asking and hoping that they'll do?
At the end of the day, I believe that God wants us for us, what we want for ourselves. I want to live a life of significance, of purpose, of joy. And sometimes that's easier to do than others. And so at the end of the
Mm.
day, my goal is to help you have a little bit better handle on how you can live your life with more significance, with more purpose, and more joy. Because in my experience, those are the things. And the older I get, the more I celebrate and the more I appreciate that it's those moments of making an impact in somebody else's life. It's those moments of significance. I'm of an age now when our kids come over for Thanksgiving or Christmas, and they're all grown and married, and I have grandkids now, and they start to share the stories. And it's amazing to me the little things that we did along the way, not the big momentous, not the trip to Disney World kind of things. It's the little steps along the way that are meaningful to them, that define who they are. And sometimes it's very insignificant, but strategic things that you can do in your life, decisions you can make, how you choose to respond to things that will define you and define your life. And that will be the crowns that will add the grace, that will add the joy, that will add the blessing to your life. And that's what I want for everyone. And so if there's anything I say that can add just that little nugget of blessing or favor to your life, I'm happy.
David, thank you so much for joining us. Just remind us one more time what your website is.
The website is www.ahigherlife.com. That's AHIGHERLIFE.com.
And the book is A Winning Mindset by David Welday. And of course, purchase it, use it, let it help you to change your attitude and have life in abundance, and leave a review. Reviews are important, right, David?
I'll take that. That's right. In fact, I coach all of our authors. It's like, you got to get some positive reviews going. So I appreciate that. That would be awesome.
Absolutely. Have a great day. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.